What is up, everyone? It is Odin here, friendly neighborhood Odin, hanging out, drawing after a long Sunday filled with a slight hangover. Not as bad as last time, but it was still there. A little bit of a headache, but we were good. But it's been a good day. I got a lot of shit done, and I've been drawing. I was watching a lot of football, so yeah, good fucking day. But before I get going, I'll throw it in the description, of course. But if you have not, please do the awesome thing and sign up for Unconditional Shove. The sign up costs you nothing, virtually nothing, but a few seconds of your time, and it'll be worth it in the long run. But also, we do have a launch date now. We are set. We are going to launch on October, what is that? 29th, which is a Saturday. So it talked about, sorry, my chair's so squeaky. It's driving me crazy. I get that WD-40 out. But we were talking about Halloween Day as a launch date, which would have been fucking cool, except for that, there's lots of other stuff going on Halloween. For one, there's usually the Fragtober ending draw thing, and I like that, and I want to enjoy that. So if I'm streaming at the same time, it's kind of hard to do. But also, everybody's doing shit. You want to take your kids out and go trick or treating, whatever you're gonna do. It's Halloween, so that Saturday night. Also, our good friend James, it's his birthday. I think Sunday. It's either Saturday or Sunday, but his birthday would be right in line with that. So we're also gonna have a celebration for his birthday as well. I'm sure we're all gonna dress up and and make it a wild fucking time because it's always fun. We're definitely gonna launch on 80s. I'm probably gonna try to set up some other streams to build it up, or on Sunday and things like that. So, but we are going to launch on 80s Made Consumers channel Saturday night, which we always do the Saturday Night Late Show anyway. So easy decision. But yeah, very excited for that. Now we have the date. So now I am just putting my head down, drawing more and more pages for the second story. The first story is finished, as I've said many times. And this page that I'm working on is a page from With Friends Like These. It follows the Scarecrow page. And the story, this old man in his cabin as these two fucking shitbag criminals show up there. Oh, unknowns to them what they're getting into, of course. It's a strange thing to knock on a cabin door in the middle of the night, but, hey, they were in need. But yeah, so it's going to be fun. I'm just about wrapped up with this page. Just a few more things to draw in the backgrounds. And on to the next one. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about this. And I still haven't read them, and I got them quite a bit back, but I got my Belmont books, The Weaponized Werewolf and Smokes the Fox. This Weaponized Werewolf has one of my favorite artists did the cover, Tim Vigil. And tonight, after I'm done doing this, I'm going to fucking finally read these and tear into them. But thank you, Justin. They look great. I did skim through them. It's going to be a lot of fun. And also, I will show this. I can't remember which book it's in. Maybe it's in both of them. We'll see. But Belmont is part of the Genesis crew, as am I. There you go. It's right there. Last page. Ooh, that's a cool image, too. You like that? You like that? It's not a pan. But they did this great advertisement. Our good friend Todd, he did this advertisement for Genesis Crew, and I will hold it up there so you got to see. There's the Unconditional Shove poster. We got wrong hand. Shadow Punk, Smokes the Fox. We've got Aaron's book. Why is it? Wolfsbane. This is the character Iron Science, I believe it's from Community Service. Yes. Community Service, that's T-Bunny's book. And then Hojo's book, The Mythicals. And then, yeah, right down here, we got Unconditional Shove. It's a shame I didn't have a color version yet, because there will be. That's actually going to be the black and white cover, so it's appropriate. And then they got the fucking, QR code and shit. But yeah, the book looks great. I'm going to check it out. Obviously, anyone who knows that Mike Barron wrote it, which is always a selling point for sure. He wrote both of them, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this will be fun to dive into, like I said, after I'm done making this video. Another thing that I thought was interesting is going through my old videos, and one of my most popular videos, it's an older one, but it checks out. An older video, and it has lots of views and very little likes, and I know the reason why. Because I talked about this book here. It's a golf book. A fucking golf book. And I really, literally know fuck all about golf, and I really couldn't care less. But I was so impressed, and the reason I talked about it was, get my hands wrong, this artwork. This is drawn by Anthony Ravielli, who did a lot of illustrations for Sports Illustrated back when they were more actually Sports Illustrated. So he was kind of known for his sports drawings, but this is all pen work. If you can see up close, it looks like quill, and it's just masterfully done. The guy's incredibly talented, and the only reason I have this book was because there's a funny story behind it. So yeah, I made a video talking about his art. Probably I'm going to repeat the exact same story, but in the title I mentioned Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons, which apparently this is like the definitive book on learning how to golf. But the story was such that my ex-fiance, last year we were going to her sister's house in Corpus Christi, Texas, and we were flying, and while we were on the airplane, a gentleman in front of me was reading this book. I knew nothing about it, but I was just kind of like eavesdropping over his shoulder, and I saw some of this artwork while he was reading. I mean, let me find a good one here. You know, and I was just like, damn, that's some amazing ink work, you know? So I'm just like not reading, but just, like I said, eavesdropping over the shoulder of whoever the hell was sitting in front of me. There's the cover image, but just admiring the drawings, you know. And we land in San Antonio, drive to Corpus Christi, end up at her sister's house. Well, her sister's husband was like this huge golfer, and just through natural conversation, he starts talking about golf, and he starts mentioning how he's been reading this book called 5 Lessons by Ben Hogan, and telling me, he's like, oh, it's the most definitive book on how to learn how to golf. And I'm like, I don't care, but whatever. But then I go, hey, you know, it's funny, like I was behind a guy on the airplane who was reading this book, and I had, you know, I'm changing it to drawing because that's my interest, but it had these amazing illustrations in it, man. I was blown away. And sure as shit, he goes, well, that's probably the same one, you know. He's like, it's got these really good drawings. Yeah. So anyway, he goes and finds it, digs it out, and he hands it to me. He's like, here, keep this, it's yours. I think because he thought I was going to get into golf. I kind of, you know, patronizing him a bit. I was like, well, you know, someday, maybe, you know, like, I wouldn't mind learning. I just never pictured myself being on a golf course fucking golfing, you know. I've got friends who golf, and they love it, so maybe I would get into it. You know, I like sports, but I like more aggressive sports, you know. But anyway, he gave that to me. And so, you know, I'm not with my ex anymore, so he's never getting the book back. Because I was going to send it back, because shortly after that, I found a paperback version just at a thrift store or something. I'm like, oh, shit, I should buy it, because then I can send him his book, and I'll have mine, you know, because he probably wants it back. I'm sure he just bought another one or something. All the same illustrations and stuff. Isn't that great? Like, if you could see the line work on the shadow on his face there, I mean, phenomenal stuff. So anyway, one of my most popular videos, because I was talking about his art and I put it in the title, even though I don't care about Ben Hogan or 5 Lessons, I cared about Anthony Ravielli, who was the illustrator. So yeah, so it gets tons of views because I imagine a bunch of dumb, I would say dumb, a bunch of golf bros, like probably dumb, clicking on my video thinking I'm talking about Ben Hogan's 5 Lessons. And, and then when they see me going like, and I don't give a fuck about golf, fuck golf, they're not going to drop a like at the same time. So, and obviously they're like, they came there for golf information. So it just cracked me up. But I keep those kind of handy because I really like his work. I don't use Quill. I don't use any of the traditional tools. I probably should learn that shit and be legit. But it seems too time consuming for me right now to, for one, learn it, but also to do that method, because you have to be way more meticulous, and you have to have your ink and some water and a napkin or something. Like it's just more work, and I don't know. Plus, every time I've tried to use Quill, I've always had, and everyone always, oh, it's the ink you got sucks, and I'm like, well, it said it was good ink. They're like, oh yeah, you get bad batches every once in a while. I'm like, every batch I've tried, I've got a bad batch. So it discouraged the shit out of me. And then I tried traditional brush because I use this guy. I love this guy. This is just a Pentel pocket brush pen, refillable, and I love these. But again, it was the same thing with brush. Like doing a normal brush, because you had to like get your inks out and do all that shit. It would just seem so tedious for me. I was too impatient, I guess. But I would love to learn, like, and get a better sense of it, because that's how the real inkers. Because I love drawing in ink, but I would never call myself an inker. But I don't like calling myself a penciler, because I'm like, I hate drawing in pencil. So yeah. As it is. But yeah, no, we're working on more pages. I did bring up James. He's not feeling too good, so anybody throw a prayer his way, because poor guy got the sickness, the unnameable sickness, the COVIDs, the coof, and so yeah, hoping that he has a good recovery. But I know the other night was pretty rough for him. I called him this morning just to make sure he was doing all right, because I sent him a message, and earlier, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And I never got any answer. So then I started to worry and called him. But yeah, he'll be back up and running, but he's in the midst of it, and it sucks. I know that. I've been there. Anybody who's gotten it before, So yeah, hopefully he's up and good but sometimes that shit lasts and it sucks. That said, it was fun. It was the night before, and he was even talking about it. He's like, oh, my neighbor's got it, so I probably got it. But he was saying he had kind of a headache and wasn't feeling 100. But we had a good stream on his show, so that was pretty fun. What else? Oh, just a random thought that was coming across my mind was personality. Because I hear people complain about it, and I understand the complaints. In this climate of comics, personality sells a lot more than it used to. And you think, well, you want people to buy based on the merit of the story or the product that they're putting out, It's not totally the case. Now, that said, it's still, you still have to deliver the goods, and oftentimes people who deliver the goods are more charismatic and interesting people, so that does help. But I was thinking about, Mr. Stanley, who, everyone knows Stanley. Everyone knows that comics really wouldn't be where they are today without him, regardless of how you feel about him. Some people talk shit about him because, speak ill of the dead. That's what they say. So some people talk shit. Some people venerate him and just think he's the most amazing thing ever, you know. And then most people that I value their opinion have kind of more of a measured response where like, yeah, he was super important to comics, but you know, not like godlike status, you know. But one of the reasons was that he had the most charismatic personality, and to this day, I mean, you can watch interviews right up till right before he died, and he would carry that persona, that charisma. I mean, it was something to behold. Now, again, that was like a gift, and not everybody has that, and we all know that. But he was surrounded by super talented people the entire time, so he just became basically an icon and a personality and a voice and a you know, just somebody to announce and to be a face of the franchise, and it made Marvel seem way more exciting in my mind than DC at the time. And I've heard interviews which I could listen to on and on, interviews with like Jack Kirby, who, when you listen to him talk, is not charismatic. He's kind of monotone, low speaker, and it's fine because I like hearing him because it's you know, it's the king talking, you know, and talking about his passion, and it's great. But he was never going to be Stan Lee, right? So as much as right now, I know there's people who are pretty jaded about the personality sells comics. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, everything is entertainment. What we are selling is still entertainment. Now, again, you're creating a product, but it's an entertainment product. It happens in all aspects: music, movies, television, all avenues of entertainment. The creators and the people involved, their personalities carry a great deal of weight. You know, there's plenty of us who, after learning that somebody's a piece of shit, you don't want to watch or partake in their entertainment. Now, sometimes you can just ignore it if it's good enough, you know? Like I've always told people, I'm like, I still watch Bill Cosby's himself because I think it's one of the greatest stand-up routines I've ever heard. And it's almost funny because knowing now what I didn't know then when I first started enjoying it, but it makes it compelling on top of being just funny. But I think that's, in my mind, that was always the greatest stand-up routine ever. You know, there's other amazing stand-up routines, of course, but that one always got me, and it was really his family stuff, which I thought was the funniest. Just telling these stories about family life in the Cosby house. Yeah, all that to say, like, we don't always kick people for... But again, his personality, you know, before knowing the skeletons, was extremely charismatic. So again, it doesn't have to be, and that's another point. It doesn't have to be, but you are going to do much better, obviously, if you do have that charisma. Now, in this landscape, the independent comic landscape, the CG landscape specifically, independent comics, even non-CG, but specifically in CG, I think it's very much a thing that people are having YouTube presence. You know, people are doing streams, they're doing videos, they're doing lots of FaceTime and voice time with their potential audience and with other creators. And for the most part, we do it for fun, you know. But we all have, you know, this other motivation, which is we're trying to sell our independently produced book. And so that landscape lends itself to personality selling more. And again, it's like it's not always the case, and it's definitely not the only thing, because you always have to deliver the goods. Because there are, charismatic people, you may take a chance on their book the first time and maybe go like, it's not really my thing. But that doesn't mean you don't like the creator and you don't like their personality even. Like they probably might still tune into their YouTube stuff, but not, be as huge on their book. Or maybe there's such a lovable personality that it doesn't matter that you don't even like the style. All that to say, like, you can't deny that it's part of it. I know when I was in the music world, especially for devoted fans, they wanted to know you. They wanted to feel like they were a part of it. And I remember we would play shows, and I wasn't one of those douchey singers who wouldn't help load equipment and things like that. But after a while, the rest of the band were like, stop helping us load equipment. We got it. When the set's over, book it to that merch table, because all of the people are like filing out. And we usually had a merch table set up at the entryway or somewhere. They're like, you go there and talk to fans or talk to people who are at the show. Make fans. And all it was, they just saw you on a stage, right? And for that moment, you're kind of taking over everything. And they know you're just a dude, but like you're on a stage and you're sonically taking over the entire place because it's hard to talk. We're like screaming our heads off and everything's turned up to 11, of course. And they're witnessing that. And then they go meander over to your merch table and you start talking to them and you're just a dude talking to them. So you go from this heightened character to this very approachable, lovable, you are engaging in them, like you are actually. So everybody that came up, and I was really good at that because I actually do like, I just care about people that I meet and I give them the time of day, and we developed some extremely hardcore, lifelong fans. I mean, to this day, like I haven't been in that band. We'll just using Theory on X as an example. So Theory on X was the last band I was in. I haven't done it since 2015. So 7 years. Yet on social media and things like that, I still talk to them, and they still ask how I'm doing, and they still pull up memories and go like, oh, you were the best, like these are great things, but like all it starts with is just that engaging personality. So again, it's not everything and you have to deliver the goods, but personality goes a long way. So again, I get that there's like a purist mindset of like, no, just the quality of what you put out should be all that matters. I understand that logic, but it's flawed because we're selling entertainment, and once an entertainer becomes approachable or somebody you feel like you've gotten to know, changes everything. It totally changes everything. So I just wanted to kind of flesh that out. Basically, it's one of those things like people get really laser focused on their opinion about some of these things, and I get it. I totally understand, especially on this one, or the writer versus artist debates. They're like, this is how it is, and you go, it's not like that. It's an incredibly gray thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, personality is a part of it. You can't escape it. So work with it. Work with it as best you can. I know for me, I'm not gonna do fucking backflips and like juggle cats, although that would be fun. Just do all this crazy stuff for entertainment's sake, because it's not my personality. I was actually always like turned off by like class clowns and stuff, because I was always like, fucking attention whore, man, like sit down and shut up, But how I got attention and how I always worked it was just being like really genuine and down to earth. And so I really just try to be awesome to people as much as possible. Like, I don't know if that doesn't sound arrogant, but it's like, it was actually in the Bible. it was the story of Daniel. And in my Bible, which is the Jerusalem Bible, which is the one that J.R. Tolkien had a hand in doing some of the translations and stuff, which was really cool. But I actually liked how it read. Maybe in the back of my mind is because I knew it was Tolkien that worked on it. But in this story of Daniel, they used a very specific phrase. So what had happened was his people got invaded by a force, a giant invading army that was taking over, installing their own governments and taking over other places. They come in with force, take everything over, and Daniel is basically kind of going, how do I approach this? Do I fight back? If I fight back, I'm just going to die. So I have to assimilate, but I'm not going to stop being what I know I should be, what he was taught to be. And so he stayed true to everything he had lived and believed. But in every other way that he could, he totally assimilated and did his best, which I found very, very compelling, just the way that he approached that. But one of the things that it said was that he had an excellent spirit. And I went, what the hell is that? But it when you see it. There are people that come across your path that you don't know why, but they radiate, or they, everybody wants to be around them, or they just have something, some it factor about them that draws other people to them, and they're genuine, and they're not out for their own gain, and they're usually fairly ambitious, but also down to earth. I mean, it's tough to put into words what that is, but in that Daniel story they did, and they said excellent spirit, and I went, I know, I've seen people like that, and everyone wants a piece of it, that is the thing. They usually could have a million best friends or something like that, and so I've strived to try to be that myself, and I think my biggest thing is always be genuine. So that's why I'm never gonna like I said, do crazy shit to try to get people to like me, because it would be forced. I know in the UFC, I remember Conor McGregor, he took the world by storm, and he was such a heel, such a shit talker, and it was great. It was fun. Oh, even if you hated it, if you hated him, it made it work even more. So he had this brash, totally charismatic, ridiculous personality. Again, you had to have the goods to go back it up, because nobody cares if you get your ass kicked every time. But and he was a good fighter. So all of that worked in his advantage so well that he was making way more money for the organization, and they were paying him way more money. So everybody else saw that and said, okay, that's the path to success, is I've got to follow him. And some of the cringiest fucking bullshit attempts by people to be over the top and charismatic when it wasn't in their personality, because they saw, oh, it worked. I got to do this. This is what sells. And, yeah, there's some really bad ones. And the only reason they're doing it is because they go, that's what I got to do to get to that level of success. Well, that is not what you do. Because then you just become, everybody sees through it. Everybody goes, fuck, that was bad. That was cringy, man. What the fuck was that? Everybody sees through it. And then once you're kind of seen as disingenuine, fuck, that's hard to break, So, yeah. I think the thing is to know yourself, develop the awesome you that you are. Because, the world needs all kinds of personalities. The Conor McGregor personality is very important in the world, whether you believe it or not. But the converse personality is also important. It's a balance. So I have 3 daughters. 100% totally different personalities. Like, not even close. Like, the only way they're the same is that they had similar upbringings, you know? That they have the same parents, so same genetics, and the same upbringing. That's it. Outside of that, totally different. And when it starts getting in conflict, that's kind of what I explained to him, is like, you know, the world takes all kinds. Like, you know, your sister's annoying the fuck out of you because your personalities are so different. But it is very important that this world have multiple styles and personalities. It keeps us all in check. You know, there's people who are very impetuous and quick to jump into things, and there's people that are much more measured and controlled. And what's awesome is when you like find a friend that's kind of your counter, and then you keep each other, you know, on the level, on the square. So anyway, all that to say, like, I guess, so as I say, that personality is a big part of it. I say, stay within who you are. For, you know, learn who you are, know who you are, and don't try to be something you're not. But if you find that people are turned off by you being you, then you got to tweak. You got to tweak it a bit, because there's an awesome you inside. You know, there's a you that, the perfect you, it's going to be built into that personality that you can't escape. So you don't have to try to be something. You just have to be you. And that's my best advice. 100% Odin advice right there. And then let the chips fall where they will, you know? And if you aren't charismatic at all, and you don't think that you'll ever get over being camera shy or something like that, but you've got lots of talent, and you've got this thing that you want to create, and you're talented in writing or drawing or whatever, hook up with someone who's extremely the opposite, you know? That would make oh yeah, there's more to this. I kind of just like that would make you a strong team. That's all I'm saying. So again, the world takes all kinds. So here you have, to take it full circle back to Stanley and Jack Kirby. Here you have Stanley, this charismatic, always probably coming up with crazy ideas. You know, he turned a lot of it on to Roy Thomas, who kind of took over a lot of that. And then you had this Jack Kirby, who's like a kind of soft-spoken and not very charismatic. But how is Jack Kirby charismatic? In his art, man. Like, his art just flew off the page, and it's some of the most expressive comic book art we've ever had. Like, dynamic, exciting. And he became the standard, and Stanley knew it. Stanley went, okay, I'm going to be the face, you're going to be the art, and we're creating the most exciting stuff in the world right now, comic-wise. And they were. So, yeah. All that to say, I'm going to try to sum it up. Sum it up as best I can is, the biggest thing is stay within yourself. And if you have to collaborate, because I know I'm not the most charismatic dude. I know that. Like I said, I'm not going to like do cartwheels and like make funny shit all the time, you know. I'm just like here making what I do. But you know, when James asked me to be part of Broken Compass Comics, I realized that was going to be a great combination for that reason, because he's a lot more extroverted and out there. But what happens is he's pretty smart, but he goes, Odin, should I do this? And I'll go, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you? And then other times I'm like, what, are you fucking crazy? Like, don't do that. That's not a good move. Yeah. So again, it's like this, keeping us in check, and then he's also like getting my ass in gear when I need it, you know. So those kind of relationships can be great, and yeah, and it can be done solo. And the best thing you can do is, again, know yourself. But once you do that, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and then yeah, once you know those, then you know what to work on too. You know. So again, I've talked about this a lot. Like, I am extremely introverted. And it's probably hard for people to picture because I'm comfortable on camera. I was comfortable on stage, you know. It was like all eyes on me kind of thing. And I think people assume that introverted means shy or nervous or something, you know, and social. And I'm like, no, that's not necessarily what it means. That's probably what it means when you're young and you're figuring it out. Because I remember that I was pretty quiet in school and I just kind of like stuck to myself and drew all the time. But when I got old enough to realize that's where, you know, I had other skills that were natural to my personality temperament and being introverted. But I went, I have to develop those things. I have to push myself and out of my comfort zone and like learn. But again, it's not about being shy. You know, I got over being shy, but like it's more about the reality of introvertedness is that I have to be alone a lot to like recharge. Now, I've been in relationships where that's different. Like I can be with them and still recharge. But for the most part, like social settings, I'm fine and it's great. But to charge, you know, and there's like a point where I'm like, I'm full. I am done. See you all. I have to go recharge. I have to be alone for a while. That's the difference. And then an extroverted person being the exact opposite, where too much time alone, they're like, shit, I need to recharge, and they have to be around other people to recharge. You know, that social element. And we all have it to varying degrees. But so anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. But oh, that's where I was going. Like you can develop and strengthen the areas where you're going to be naturally weak because of your personality temperament. And that's one thing I teach my girls, or try to. I try to, I'm not always the best, but I try to reward them more when they do something right that is outside of their personality. So, like, one of my daughters is definitely more introverted, and social situations are really hard for her because she's way too self-aware, and that makes it hard because you think people are talking about you. You're too self-conscious. So when she steps out and does something very social, I have to let her know that that's amazing because, yeah, because it's outside of her temperament. But if she does something that an introvert would naturally do, like be good at writing, I still have to tell her it's good, but like, and that I love that she's doing it. But that's so much more natural for her. Whereas one of her other sisters is so much more extroverted and so much less self-aware, and so she's got these great strengths of like just saying telling it like it is, you know, or, you know, like not caring as much what people think, you know, doing her own thing. And she still cares what people think, but like not in that self-conscious kind of way, or in that crippling kind of way. So then when she like holds back, or when she shows more emotion or empathy, you know, I praise her for that, because it's like that took her acting outside of her natural personality. So what I'm getting at with all that is, like, if you do feel like you're lacking in something, and you go, okay, personality is a big part of like selling, you know, I get that, we're doing entertainment, personality is part of that, and you think you're lacking in that, you know, like, you can work on it. It's not impossible. And I've seen people, like, in a very short amount of time just open up. Like, oftentimes people who seem real shy and like clammed up, once they finally do, they're like really interesting and fun people. You know, like, you're like, geez, I never knew. You know, maybe just give them a drink or something. That helps. So anyway, that was a lot of rambling about that, but yeah, I hope it was informative, if nothing else. All that said, though, like, I'm gonna be done with this video and read my Weaponized Werewolf and Smokes the Fox, and crash out because I gotta work tomorrow, and watch the Broncos beat the snot out of the Seahawks with their own quarterback. Oh man, I live in Washington. It's all Seahawks country. and I'm a Broncos fan, and we stole their fucking quarterback. We stole their quarterback. Yeah. And we get to play them first game of the year tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. So that is the reason why I'll be late to watching Big Trouble in Little China on 80s Made Channel. But you should not, unless you're a Broncos and Seahawks fan. You should watch the game with me. But, yeah. That's going to be fun. I'm actually really looking forward to that. I'm so excited to have Russell Wilson as a Bronco. Like, we always do well. Broncos have always done well when we have a franchise quarterback. So, and typically teams do better with a franchise quarterback, of course. But I think there's plenty of years left in Russell Wilson, and I'm excited to have him as a Bronco and see where this goes. So, first things first, let's beat the snot out of his old team, and I can rub it into everyone's face here in Washington. Because I'm wearing my Broncos jersey to work tomorrow, just to fuck with everyone, because they're all pissed because now they hate Russell Wilson. Now they're like, oh yeah, he wasn't any good. And they're doing what they have to feel good about themselves, which is hard because they got Geno Smith at their quarterback. Anyway, football stuff. Some people in the comic book world do like sports, and other people are like, oh my God, shut up, I hate, and I was like, wow, you hate sports, I don't care, I love them, some of them. I love football, that's for sure. I love MMA. Got into hockey because of the Avs were doing good. I was not like a huge fan, but it's always fun to watch, but it's like, as a Avalanche fan, it was like, you guys got to be good, and they've been good lately. And then obviously Stanley Cup winners last year, so that was badass. But I like all sports. I really just like competitive sports. I like watching competitions. So anyway, yeah, I'm yawning. That means I'm done. This is your friendly neighborhood, and hope you're all doing pure awesome as always. Like I really do. And kind of explaining all this, like the band stuff and the meeting people, it's like I really do like anybody cross paths with me, unless you're a douchebag, but I don't meet too many douchebags, at least not, I mean, like I meet a lot of douchebags, but I usually like them. But I do really hope the best for everybody and want everybody to succeed as much as possible, and be happy and be living their best life, as they say. So yeah, go out there and do it. So yeah, have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Later.